Okay, number 2. Now, what do I want you folks to do? I want you guys to grab highlighters. In this is always going to be highlighters. Who would like a highlighter? Anyone else? Okay. Now, the highlighter is going to help you stay focused on what we're solving for. Do we understand that? So today I'm going to ask consistently for you to highlight the letter that we are solving for. So we're solving for which letter up here? We're solving for N. Well, here's N. Now, whenever you do your lovely solving equations, I talked to you about making sure that you're solving the equations based upon getting a gift at Christmas time or your birthday. Remember? And I said you want to unwrap the package as if you never wanted to tear the packaging to begin with, correct? So that means you have, your first step has to be their what? Last step. Then you have to gently pull it off. But whenever you're doing equations, what we're talking about stepwise is PEMDAS. What we're talking about stepwise is PEMDAS. So what was the last thing that they did? According to PEMDAS, what is the last thing that they did? The last thing they did is addition and subtraction, because remember, those work from left to right. So what's the first thing that we need to do? We need to get rid of all the things that's attached to the letter N by addition or subtraction. So what's attached to the letter N? 5C is what's attached by addition or subtraction. So how do I get rid of positive 5C? Subtract 5C from both sides. So negative 1/2 dN is equal to negative 2C. 5C. Now, what am I solving for? I'm solving for N. So again, I highlight the N and I ask myself, what is attached to the N? The negative 1/2 and the letter D. So I have how many things attached to it? 2 things. Now you tell me, when you see a fraction, what happens to you physically? Exactly. You cringe inwardly and you cannot stand a fraction. So instead of doing 2 things at one time, how about you first focus on getting rid of the fraction of negative 1/2? So how's it attached to the fraction? How's the fraction attached to N, I should say? By multiplication. So what do you have to do to get rid of it? Divide by a fraction, which means you're multiplying by its reciprocal. So what is the reciprocal of negative 1/2? So I'm going to multiply just the value of negative 2. Why is it okay that I multiply by the value of negative 2? It's the same thing as negative 2 over negative 1, right? So these cancel out. My negative sign cancels and the 2 cancels out. And I'm left with dN is equal to negative 2c times negative 2 is going to be 4c. Now what am I solving for? I'm solving for N, which means what's attached to the N? How is it attached? That's multiplication. What's the opposite? So we're going to divide both sides by D to give me N is equal to 4C over D. How many people who attempted to do this last night got that answer correct? Good job, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. Moving along, number 4. Number 4, AY minus BY is equal to C. And I'm supposed to solve this thing for Y. AY minus BY is equal to C, and I need to solve this thing for Y. Now, what does that mean, Sierra? What does that mean? Now, obviously, you heard some of the video yesterday. We were going to go fishing. Whenever you say you're going to go fishing, what does that mean? You're going to cast it out, right? And you're going to pull it up, and you're going to pull something out. Correct? Now, what we are pulling out is what is in common. So what do these 2 terms have in common? They both have a y in common. So if I pull out a y, I am left with what? A minus B is equal to C. Now, what am I solving for? Solving for y. What's attached to it? A minus B. So how do I get rid of it? You divide by A minus B on both sides. Now, I'm going to be very, very, very picky on this. That A is attached to that B by what operation? Subtraction. I refer to this as the head and the body. Okay, I refer to this as the head and the body. In other words, A is attached to B, and wherever it goes, it has to stay connected by the operation of subtraction. Because can you walk around this building with your head cut off your body? It's not going to be a good result, correct? Okay? Yes. Okay? Which means this is gone, and I'm left with y is equal to C over A minus B. Are we good? Next, number 6. Isn't number 6 very similar to number 4? What am I solving for? I'm solving for W. So what's the difference here between the last problem and this problem? It's on the opposite side. So how do I go about putting them on the same side? Add what? I need to bring one of the W's over to the other side. Now, which one would be more intelligent to bring over to which side? EW is already by itself on the right-hand side. So wouldn't it make more sense to bring the 2DW over to the right-hand side? 2DW is currently positive, so how do I bring that over? Subtract. So I'm going to subtract 2DW from both sides. And I have negative 3 is equal to EW minus 2DW. Okay, how many W's do I have? 2. So as soon as you see more than one W, what do you have to do? Not distribute, not combine. If you're going to combine, you have to ask yourself, how are these two like terms? Because they are like terms, but it's the same concept of fishing. We're going to go fishing, right? We're going to fish out the lovely little W. So if I yank out of a W, what is left out of EW? E and minus 2D. Do we understand that? Yes or no? Okay, now what am I solving for? W. I'm solving for W. So what's attached? E minus 2D. So I divide by E minus 2D on both sides. That's gone. Now remember, that's the head and the body. Wherever the E goes, the 2W comes, or the 2D goes with it, right? And I'm left with negative 3 over E minus 2D. Do we understand this, yes or no? Yes? Number 8. I love this problem. What does that mean? You'll probably be able to say. Thank you very much. You are 100% correct. If I'm telling you that I really like it, that means it's probably going to be on the test. Do we understand that? So now, with that said, I need to solve for x. Well, you tell me. If I'm solving for x, what instinctively do you want to get rid of? The half is ugly, right? So how do I get rid of half? Multiply by the reciprocal. So if I multiply this thing by the reciprocal of 1/2 is going to be 2. So I have 2 capital A is equal to h times A plus x. So what do you guys want to do here? Are you me? What are you guys wanting to do here? How do you get rid of that h? Okay, there's 2 options. How many of you would divide by h? What's another option? Distribute the h, okay? You're not wrong either way. There's more than one season for killing deer, correct?
Yep.
Right? What's the end result in every one of the seasons?
Big guy.
The deer is dead. Okay, do I care how you go about doing it? No, so as long as you solve the problem, we're going to do this two ways. I'm going to actually clone this one right now so that we can see it. And we're going to do this in two different ways. The first way is we're going to divide both sides by h. So I have 2a divided by h is equal to a plus x. Everybody understand me on that, yes or no? Okay, what am I solving for? I'm solving for the x. So if I'm solving for the x, my question to you is, what do I need to get rid of next? I need to get rid of that there a. So I'm going to subtract a from both sides. So that's gone over there, and I'm left with 2 capital A over h minus a is equal to x. I box this in, and I'm done. Now, that's the way Timmy was thinking. That doesn't mean his favorite deer season would be bow season. Great. So since he loves bow season, Josh is not a fan of bow season. He likes muzzleloader season. So therefore, he says, I don't want to do it like this. I feel like distributing. Correct? So we're going to distribute the h. So that's 2a is equal to ah plus hx. Why am I writing that as ah and not ha? Because we like to keep our variables in alphabetical order. Okay? Now with that said, I'm solving for what again? I'm solving for x. And we work our PEMDAS which direction? Remember, we're solving for x? Backwards, which means I need to get rid of stuff attached by addition or subtraction first. So what's attached to the x by addition or subtraction? The AH, not just the H, but the AH. So how do I get rid of AH? Minus AH. Subtract the AH. So I have 2 capital A minus AH is equal to HX. What am I solving for? What's attached to it? How is it attached to it? How do I get rid of it? So what you're telling me is I need to take and divide both sides by the letter h to give me 2a minus ah over h is equal to x. I have a problem. How can these two methods that I just showed you be equivalent? Because clearly, they are not the same. Or are they? Why are they? But I have x by themselves on both of them. But they're not the same. It does matter. 3 is 3 no matter how you say it, right? Why am I saying these two things are the same even though they clearly do not look the same?
Because the H just wasn't distributed on the other one.
The H was not distributed on which one?
The one on the left.
Okay, we know what we did. Yes, what I'm talking about, why is the blue box on the left not the same as the red box on the right? Sorry? Okay, but remember what I just said. When hunting season starts, the whole goal is to do what to the deer? Right?
But you get 8 over 8 is always 8.
Okay, so think mathematically. What you're telling me is if I were to take this one over here and pull it apart, what happens to the h here? That h cancels out, and I have 2a over h minus a. Now are they the same?
Yeah.
So what you're telling me is this one does not have a common denominator, whereas this one did have a common denominator. Okay? You need to recognize when things are equivalent and when they are not. Because let's say you ask a friend for help, Timmy gets one answer, John gets another answer, Sierra gets another answer. Could they all be correct?
Yes. Yes.
Yes. How do you know that Sierra's wrong? You do. You have to think, and you have to think like them and say, explain to me how you got this answer and why you did it this way. Because her method might be so much easier than yours. Do we understand that? Okay? Yay or nay, folks?
Yay.
Yay. So excited. Okay, moving right along. I already did that one. Number 10. Talk to me. What do we solve for? P. How many P's do I have? 2. I have an issue, don't I? I have an issue. What is my issue? They're on opposite sides. How do I take care of that? Shayla, excellent job. I'm going to subtract KP from both sides. So I have 9P minus KP is equal to negative 7N. Answer. From the right hand side or the left hand side? When I subtract from the left hand side, I just put them right beside each other. That's all I did. See the 9P I dropped down minus KP I dropped right beside it. Okay? Now, what am I solving for? How many do I have?
That's 2.
I got 2. Are they on the same side?
Yeah.
So what do we need to do? We need to go efficient, right? So we cast out our line, and what are we pulling out? We're going to pull out a P. So if I pull a P out of each one of those terms, what am I left with? 9 minus K is equal to negative 7N. Do we understand that, yay or nay? Visual or verbal, we all with me? What do you not get me? Okay, we need to back up then. You need to say, do you understand why we subtracted KP from both sides? Because I need both of my P's on the same side of the equal sign. So what we're doing is we took it from the left-hand side, or from the right-hand side, and moved it over to the left-hand side. Okay? It was positive on the right-hand side, so to bring it across the equal sign, I have to do the opposite of it. The opposite of positive is a negative, which is why I subtracted it from both sides. You good? Okay, now I see I have 2 P's. No, you gotta ask. Are you shutting me off earlier? Okay. Opposite, they just undo each other. The opposite of addition is subtraction. The opposite of multiplication is division. You constantly have to ask yourself, what's the opposite of how they're attached? Okay? Now, here, there's 2 P's there. So what we're going to do is we're going to pull out what they both have in common. And what they both have in common is that P. So if I pull a P out of this, I'm left with the 9. I drop the 9 down. If I pull a P out of this, I drop a K down. Does that make sense? Okay? Now, my question is what am I solving for? I'm solving for P. So if I'm solving for P, what is attached to the P? Is that a quantity or is that individually? The 9 and the minus K. Is that together?
Yeah.
It's the head and the body, right? Wherever the 9 goes, the K goes, correct? They cannot come apart. So how do I get rid of that 9 minus K? You got to divide by it. That's gone. I have P is equal to negative 7N over 9 minus K. Do we all understand that problem? Zerker, we good? Okay. Number 12. What are we solving for? 3. Well, what looks nasty about this thing? Contraction. So what could I do to make it look a little bit easier? I could multiply the by the reciprocal, but we usually like to have a fraction isolated, right? So how can I isolate the fraction? What's attached to the fraction? The plus C, right? So how do I get rid of the plus C? It is positive C, so what's the opposite of positive? A negative. So I'm going to subtract C from both sides. I'm left with D over V is equal to 5D minus C. Now, where is the D at? Where is the V as in violin at? In the denominator. Now, remember whenever we were solving equations, I told you, anytime you can make a fraction equaling a fraction, it's going to be your best bet. So just put that right-hand side over 1. And when you have a fraction equaling a fraction, what is always your go-to thing? Cross multiplication. Every time. Every time you have a fraction equaling fraction. So with that said, d times 1 is d. And then I'm going to have v times 5d minus c. Do you see that we no longer have a denominator? Because we had a fraction equaling a fraction, which meant we could immediately cross multiply. Now, what am I solving for? B, what's attached? How's it attached? What's the opposite? So I'm going to divide by 5d minus c on both sides. Speak mathematically and finish your statements. So I have d over 5d minus c is equal to v. Do we all understand that, yes or no? Now, isn't this just a squirrely looking one? It isn't disgusting as much as it is, just looks confusing. Okay? So before I even look for what I want to solve for, tell me, what is disturbing about this problem? The parentheses are what is disturbing, because you look at that and you're like, man, that's a whole lot of crap going on there, right? So how can I make my brain say, okay, this isn't so bad? Before I can combine like terms, I probably want to get rid of those parentheses. True statement? So what am I going to do? Distribute. So I'm going to have b times 5pq. So that's 5bpx. And then minus 3bc. Do you see all I did was distribute? Yay or nay? Okay? Now, go to the next side. Distribute. aqx minus 4a. Does it look a little bit easier now? Now, it's nasty because you have a whole bunch of letters there. But generally speaking, does it look a little bit easier? Okay, so what am I solving for? So here's an x. Here's an x. I have an issue. What is it? They're on opposite sides. How do I get them on the same side? And which side should I bring them to? Minus aqx. You're right, Sierra. It does not matter which side you bring them to. So I'm going to subtract the minus aqx for one reason, because generally speaking, you all like to bring everything over to the left-hand side. Won't have it side hard, that's totally fine. Okay? So I'm going to bring this down. 5bpx minus aqx minus 3bc, that's gone, is equal to negative 4a. What still is not to my liking?
Negative 3bc.
The negative 3bc is something that I'd like to get rid of, so how do I get rid of that? Add it. Why am I adding it? Because it's the opposite of a negative. So working from left to right, because that's what we do in mathematics, that's gone is equal to negative 4a plus 3bc. Okay, now at this point, now I can start saying, hey, I can handle this now. Because I need to ask myself, what am I solving for? X. So I highlight my x. Now that I have everything that is not an x over on the other side, I see how many x's now? 2. So since I have 2 x's, what do I have to do? Go fish. So if I'm going fishing, what do? I pull out an x out of the first term. What am I left with? Minus aq out of the second one. Excellent. Do I care about the right-hand side? No, but I have to leave it there. I can't just say, hey, even though I might not be using something, do you really want to give it away? No, if there's something that is important to you, you still want to keep it even though you may not use it every day. I need to keep that there because it's part of the problem. Okay? Now, what am I solving for? I'm solving for x, so what's attached? Excellent. So I divide by both sides, keeping in mind that this is the head and the body, and can I separate them? No. You'll look very funny without your head attached to your body. And you are done with this problem. Now, was it ugly? It was pretty disgusting, but aren't you happy to know that that's as ugly as they get?
Yeah.
Now, I want to make something extremely clear. We're out of here in what? 7 minutes. I want to make something very clear. I have done all of the evens for you on this worksheet. I have one more. Does this mean that you don't need to redo them yourself?
No,
Why?
because you need to.
And practice makes. And the more that you practice it, the better you get. The better you get and the easier you'll do on the quiz. Do we all understand that? Okay. Last one right here. What is an easy way to do this problem? We discussed it already. Zerger. Why put the m over 1? Because when you have a fraction equal to a fraction, what do? Cross multiply ever, always, and forever. So this right here, I'm going to have 1 times a minus c. Over here, I'm going to have m times x minus a. Now, do I need the 1 in front of the a minus c?
No.
No. When you multiply something by 1, does it change it?
No.
Absolutely not. So I have this a minus c is equal to, what do you guys want to do?
Distribute.
So you would like to distribute? Fine with me. mx minus ma. Oh, sorry. am. Couldn't help it. Had to get off the information. What am I solving for? I am solving for x. What has to go away? Why the am instead of the m first? PEMDAS backwards. You're unwrapping the package, leaving as much of the package together. So a minus c plus am is equal to mx. Talk to me. What am I solving for? X divided by m. Very good. So a minus c plus am all over m is equal to x. I am done. Now, what do you all think you need to make sure you have done for me tomorrow? The odds. The odds, because if not, your order might go off. Okay? I need. You're funny. I need all my highlighters back in my lovely little box up here with the alphabet. It's right here. Okay? Now, you're going to have a quiz tomorrow whenever I walk in here over section. What's tomorrow?
Wednesday the 12th.
Over the variables. So I'm going to probably be picking the problems that we talked about today and seeing how you guys do them. Now, obviously, hey, I'm talking. Quit moving. The quiz I'll be making some problems up are going to be over probably the ones that I did today for you in class. That would be a really good way for me to determine if you actually redid any problems. Any questions over what I just said? Okay, I'm done.